wrapped up a beautiful day out here. Oh, what a gorgeous spot. Nancy Strath, the owner here, puts on a great event, has this wonderful facility, regulars that come for weekly sew days. I feel really lucky to have been here today. So the point of those was to just show you can do some different things with strips than our regular string blocks. Now, some of you, I'm going to see because we have so many good examples of quilts in here. Nope. You know a prairie braid, right? So it looks like a braid kind of thing. I had the idea of doing an improvisational version of this because it's me. I always think, how can I do this improv along the way? So these were my first couple of experiments. So my strips are all different sizes, right? This is the nicely squared up version. It looks like a hot mess until you square it up. I'm not going to lie with all of that. So that was okay. I can see this. I wanted 3 fabrics, thinking like an actual braid, went with 3. Okay, I like this. Let's see where we can go with it. So the next place I went was really diving into the scrap bin and making basically sort of ombre rainbow with all of that. Same technique, bit more complex because we're making this big long thing, but we can do it. I think I have 3 or 4 of these and I've never done anything with them. One day I'll figure it out, but it was a fun experiment, right? Was it wasted time? No, because it has led to a million other things. So I did that. Then while I was teaching this class online, people wanted to learn how to do the braid. So I started making blocks, and then I had enough blocks that I was like, oh, I'm going to make a quilt. So this is an anything goes kind of scrap quilt, right? I literally was just taking out of the bin to make it work along the way. So not paying attention to color, to value, to any of that. But it works for 2 reasons. It works because there is black everywhere in the quilt. There is bright yellow everywhere in the quilt. There is white everywhere in the quilt. There are no specific spots where anything is in place, like shouting out at you with a feature point. The other reason I believe that it works is the repetition of the block. It is the same block over and over and over again. And that block is actually, you had the ruler. The one ruler I had, it's like 6 by 12. I cut all the blocks on that ruler because that was the ruler I had. I am efficient, lazy. And that was the ruler I had, so why would I make it any different? Now I did have to come up with a layout for all of those blocks that made it not look like a hot mess. And I had tried a couple of other ones before I settled on this one. And if you look at this and still think it looks like a hot mess, you should have seen the other ones. But I think it's got some really nice order and it's just a lot of fun and bright and colorful. Now let's go back to the first discussion we had this morning, right? When people say, well, I think they look messy. One of the things you'll notice in all of my quilts here is, and I said it this morning, I don't use a lot of shaded fabric, which means I don't have a lot of shaded scraps because I just don't have them. Yes, there are some, right? There's definitely some blues, but I don't use a lot of brown, burgundies, you know, that sort of rusty colors. So they're not in here. So they would tell a different story, right? If you have a lot of those and then you throw in a lot of the bright colors I have, it might look a little bit more chaotic. If I had some more of those shades and I put them in, it might not have a look. It might look better, I don't know. But this is the scraps that I have, so these are the scraps that I used. So I find the order through the repetition of the block and then the final layout. Okay, so I wasn't done with this block though, and experimenting. Again, teaching this class virtually, someone said, well, could you make the block square? Well, let's try. And we did, and it was beautiful, and then I got addicted to making them. So this is just one of 9 blocks, which it actually there's 4 squares in here, right? So this is effectively a 4 patch, and each of the 4 patches that I have is a different color set of scraps. And I'm doing quilts as you go, which is why it's the smaller thing, because I'm using up my batting scraps by doing that. But it's the same technique made in a square. So different options for strip quilts, okay? Doesn't just have to be the traditional string quilt along the way, which also, by the way, you don't need a foundation for. I know a lot of us are taught to put it on a foundation. You can make them without a foundation and they'll be fine. You look skeptical. I didn't take as much filming during the class as I'd hoped, as I locked my car leaning on it. But I had a great time. I had an absolute great time. Wonderful women who came together to sew. We hung out. We did a lot of scraps. We talked about a lot of things about quilting and color. And it was great. So I'm going to head home now. Got about a 45-minute drive. I feel like I might need to stop for some ice cream on the way though. Well, I am back at the studio. Time to unload the car. That's the annoying part about traveling to teach. I have a tendency to bring an excess amount of samples, and this particular event, I kind of treated it like a little bit of a mini trunk show as well, just because of the way it was set up and everything. So I've got a lot of quilts, got a lot of samples, got a lot of stuff to get out of the car and get back in the studio. Just for context. Here is what was in my car out on my studio table. Obviously, sewing machine that has to come with me for any demos. The famous IKEA bag. I give a trunk show that I call the IKEA bag of scraps, and this was a scraps workshop. So it was appropriate to have it there. A whole bunch of samples and scraps in there. Orphan blocks and strips, quilt samples and quilt top samples, block samples, all of it. And now I have to put it away in the storage room back there. Except for the machine, obviously. I might have to stay out and sew because I'm inspired to use my scraps a little bit after this workshop. It is an absolute cliche that teachers are so inspired by their students, but it's a cliche for a reason. It makes sense, it applies. I can't deny it. Every time I teach, I get a new idea, a new suggestion. Someone says, hey, have you ever tried this? And I go, no, let's try it. And then I'm like, I want to do that. So I came home from this teaching gig this week. I made one of these dark yellow slabs, and I'd kind of had this sort of idea, but making the one slab, I'll have a sip of my tea, hold on. Making the one slab made me go, oh yeah, that is a great idea. So after I unpacked everything today, I had to make more. I had the scraps sorted after all, so why not? So now I have these 3 slabs surrounding this light one, and I'm gonna do the same for the green, and I'm gonna do the same for the blue. And then I think this corner is gonna be peach and then orange, and really play with the value differences of these slabs. And I'll have this cute little baby quilt at the end because they're 12.5-inch blocks, which will make it 48 inches across. Not huge, not small, a very generous baby quilt. But that's not the point. The point was that I played and experimented, which is always something that I tell my students they should do. That you should go into a class with me, but frankly, almost any class, and you should go into it with the notion that you're not there to necessarily begin a quilt or to make a specific project. It's really about just investing the time and being there and playing. And so that's what I did too. The other day we were playing with our scraps. We had a lot of fun. People made some really cool, interesting looking slabs. I love teaching slabs and scrap classes because everything always looks so unique, and yet they all work together once we understand some basic rules. That's the joy of teaching, right? Getting to see that excitement in people, to see the optimism, to see people accept a challenge and go for it. I absolutely love teaching. I love doing it in person and virtually. They're different experiences. Absolutely. I think I do a good job with both of them, but they are very different experiences. And so it was really nice this week to be in person. Obviously, since the pandemic, there haven't been as many opportunities. Likewise, well, there are a ton of quilters in my home province here and even the neighboring provinces. It's never as exciting to have someone local, right? Someone from Toronto or Vancouver can come in. They'll do great, right? No problem, sell out the class. And that same quilter will have a hard time selling their class in Toronto or Vancouver because we're not the exotic, right? We're the local ones. People can see us anytime. That's fair. I'm not judging at all. But I am just going to repeat, I had a lot of fun. I hope I bring that enthusiasm to my students. It seemed like people had a really good time this week. So I just want to shout out to Nancy Strath at the Bow Bench Retreat. Showed you some gorgeous views from her facility. She managed to film me a little bit, so you got an idea of me teaching. In the meantime, I think I started a new quilt. It's exciting. And all scraps. So let's do that shameless self-promotion thing. We can do the like, subscribe, all that stuff for YouTube. But also, if you're interested in a class like this, interested in hanging out with me for the day, don't hesitate to reach out virtually or in person. I'm going to bring the joy. I'm going to bring the fun, and we're going to play. We're going to have a lot of fun playing. Thank you, everybody. My name is Cheryl Larkison. Thank you for coming along with me today while we played.